All right, hello and welcome to the Rambling Robin podcast. I am Robin, and today I'll be rambling a little bit about the things that I'd like to talk about. Today, we're going to be doing another Trolldom episode, as you probably can see by the thumbnail or by reading the title or whatever brought you to actually listening to this. So today is Halloween spooky time. That's why I don't got any lights on me on the video version, as you might be able to tell if you're watching the video version. It's also a way for me to just be a little bit lazy and not turn on the lights. And I actually kind of prefer this lighting, if I'm being honest, a little spookier, darker. Either way, let's not dwell on that, shall we? Today I wanted to do, because 'tis the Halloween season, I decided let's do a little, I'm gonna have to wait 1 second here. All right, and we're back. Quick fix there. Never mind. What I want to do today is, because it is Halloween, because it's the spooky season, I wanted to do a little, I wanted to try this thing for Trolldom, the story that I'm working on. I wanted to just sit down for this episode and do kind of a little brainstorming thing with y'all. You can be a part of the process. You can listen to me trying to figure out what I'm going to do here. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to, when I'm done talking, explaining about it, I'll be opening up my iPad here that I got in front of me, and I'll be showing you the screen. If you're watching the video version, don't worry. If you're listening to the podcast, I'll be narrating as well as I can for everything that's happening. But then I'll be brainstorming a new character idea or a new location idea for the story, and with the theme of more like something more spooky, something more demonic or whatever, something to that degree. And I think that could be a lot of fun, just showing you part of, or not really part of, but kind of what the process is like for me when I'm trying to figure out new ideas for this story. Most of the time I'm actually just thinking of ideas at random times. I might just be walking down the street, or just heading to work, or sitting on a bus, or maybe I'm in the shower. It just comes at random times. I just get this idea. Oh my god, I need to add that character or that location or something. I just get something that I need to write down so I don't forget it, and just so I can add it into the story when the time comes. Because that's like 90% of the characters that I've thought of so far. They're all characters that I'm like, ooh, that's a cool idea. Write it down and maybe we'll use it in the future, hopefully. Like, I give them at least a short backstory and like idea of what kind of the aesthetics will be and stuff like that. But we'll see what we make of this. So if you're watching the video, we're switching now. Here you can see the little area where I'll be drawing up my ideas, and this is just going to be a brainstorming session. So I'm not going to be drawing any characters in particular. Like, I'm not going to be putting any detailed faces, or I might do small little sketches, like a little two eyes and a smiley hair, or something to that degree, right? It's not going to be anything detailed. It's just I'm doing this to make it a little bit easier for me to keep track of my thoughts when we're doing this live in front of whoever might decide to watch. Or it's not really live, but you know what I'm saying, or I hope you know what I'm saying. So if we start, so at the core of it, we have spooky, right? Or spook, as I managed to write down here. So what I'm thinking, because it's something spooky and we want to work from that, right? We want to brainstorm. This is our core. This is what we're moving from. What are some spooky things that we could do? We could do, like, one common thing, right, is spiders and like cobwebs. So that's something that we could work with, right? Cobwebs, spiders, maybe a character who's very focused on spiders, or maybe it's like a town that is on top of a cobweb. Ooh, I like that actually. I like that. So let's imagine how am I gonna do this? Let's write it down here. So maybe we do town on a giant cobweb. Or do we just call it a spider net? Spider web? Cobwebs are just like when it's like just a bunch of, we don't really know when. Let's just do cobweb slash spider net. I like that, like a town, just probably a small town, but like on a spider net, and maybe it's suspended like among some trees, like a bunch of dead trees or something, or maybe it's like on like above a canyon, like there's two giant cliffs, and in between there's this huge spider web. And yeah, it's web, not net. I'm on a spider web. There we go. But I kind of like that. It's like, it's ridiculous, right? But it works. It can work for the story that I'm making. But then, like, all right, how about the roads then? All right, I'm guessing like just wooden roads, right? Oh yeah. This is how we're gonna do this. I just realized I'm gonna. Come on, what is going on here? I need to select. So I'm just moving the text around here. So we got town on the giant spider web, and it's got wooden roads, right? Because like everything can just be on the spider web, because then people will get stuck if they walk on it. So like don't fall off or something. Don't fall off, right? If you fall off, the spiders will get you, right? Something like that. So if you fall off, the spiders will get you. Just very simple idea for a town or something that we could use. Maybe it's not a town. Maybe it's just like a house, just one big house, like just one person, or maybe it's like a castle or something. It's the Spider King, or it's Lord Spider-Man. Lord Spider Guy, Spider, whatever, like something like that. Maybe we can do that. So I could write down like maybe not a town, but a building. Yay. Something like that. Right, so we have some very basic ideas. We have a building, maybe we have a town, we have something that is on top of a giant spider web that is somewhere in the world. Let's imagine that it's like suspended in the woods or something. Suspended in the woods. What woods, you might ask? Well, I have no idea yet. We'll find out later, right? Maybe there's a connection with these woods to some other place that I'll create, or that we might create together in this podcast, right? Who knows? So then, all right. Who lives in this town? Is it just normal people? Is it some kind of like magical creature? Who lives there? Why do they live there, right? So if we think about this, maybe it's not a town. Maybe it is just a castle. That might be easier. Maybe it's just one person. Maybe there is... Okay, so because Trolldom is a lot about like mages, magicians and stuff, how about we imagine this? The person who created this place. So a person, like, at least this place had to like happen somehow, right? So what if we imagine that the creator of this town or this house or this castle, whatever it might be, is some type of powerful or skilled mage, right? Who could it be? Could it be someone special? So in this world, it's probably best if I preface with this. So in this world, I have created a few characters already, as you might have guessed so far. But one of these, or rather 14 of these characters, are actually called the 14 Great Sages. And they are just some great like magicians that have lived or still live possibly, that have not completed. I'm totally blanking on the word here. They've accomplished great like magical tasks or whatever. I can't get too much into it because I'm not entirely sure of what I want to implement or not so far. But what if we imagine that it's one of the 14 great sages? Like, these people are seen as like almost the top of any magic users that have lived. Like, among all the magic users that have lived, these 14 are like at least in the top 100 ever or something, or maybe like top 20 ever even. There are only a few people that we know of that have ever been more powerful or something like that. Maybe the person who created this is one of the 14 great sages. It could be. So let's just write 14. So this is not a definitive, but if we imagine, all right, so this is one of the 14 great sages. What, okay, spider theme, right? Spiders. So spider theme for this character. So if we imagine like a more common, right, is to have like the bat theme, like almost vampire style. Can we do something similar when it comes to spiders? Like, because I'm thinking, this will, it is still a human, this person, right? This is a human. But how do we give them a spider theme? Like, what do they do? I'm thinking in terms of their magic, like, right, they use nets, right? Nets or webs, I guess we could call them, right? But, okay, so maybe now that I think more about it, I want the 14 great sages to be like really impressive, or what you would call it, when it comes to their magic, right? So the reason why they're considered great sages is because they have accomplished these great feats of magic. So maybe just nets and webs are not really gonna cut it, right? So if we look more towards the spider thing, like maybe this person was able to control spiders? No, that feels a little bit late. Maybe they tamed spiders. Maybe that's one of the reasons they were able to communicate with spiders, which is a very rare ability to have, something like that, right? That feels like it could work. So maybe spiders, how could we phrase it? So like controlling spiders, I guess. Speeders. They're controlling spiders. Something like that. And then like net webs, we can still do a lot with the nets and web stuff, but I feel like controlling spiders just adds a little bit to it. And then, of course, this character will have some kind of spider thing. So if I think quickly, just like super short about the character design for this person. So I don't want to make it a female. I don't want it to be a woman, because it is almost like too typical to me when the spider character is a woman. For some reason, like any humanoid or human related to spiders, it's always a woman, and I don't know why. It's like I'm tired of that. So this is going to be a man, and I'm thinking like, what kind of character can this be? So if we're thinking it is a mage, but this guy, maybe he has like, maybe we give him some type of like just spider arms, right? And then he has like the huge spider butt behind him at all times. Because even though he's able to use this web magic and stuff, like he still needs to be able to, like he still needs the magical energy to use it, right? So if we take the nets and webs, he still needs storage for this. Because if he's just going to create nets and webs from nothing, it's going to take too much magical energy because of the rules of the magic system in this world. It takes a lot of energy to create something from nothing, and it takes even more energy to just cast magic without anything, just from nothing. So because this person is such a great magician, right? They've managed to think of some smart way of just constantly creating more and more of this web, and got inspired by spiders. So he has kind of affixed this spider butt to himself or something to that, like to that effect. So now he constantly has like this spider butt with him in order to use the magic that he wants more effectively. Right? I like that. I like that idea. So he has this big spider butt. He dresses, I don't know how he dresses. He wears like a vest. I still want to go with so I'm doing like this Cowboy Magician theme to the entire thing, right? So can we do something with that? Like, can you still dress like a cowboy and make this work? Maybe it doesn't look like just like a butt that's hanging from him. Maybe it looks like something else. As of right now, I can only think of it looking like a butt. And then maybe he has like these things. Oh yeah, so maybe it's not supposed to be a butt, it's supposed to be like a sack or something. But he has affixed these arms to himself because he got inspired by spiders, right? He've added 6 more limbs. Or no, 4 more limbs to himself. And then he uses these to carry around this sack. And the only way to comfortably do it is to have it hang off down or something. Maybe we'll come back to that. Add a question mark to this. So maybe something like that. And then, so this character, is he going to be like cool and suave? Is he going to be creepy? That also plays a lot into it. Like, maybe I don't want him to dress very well. Maybe I want him to just be really creepy, because it is Halloween. That's why we're doing this. We're going with a creepy theme because we want to create a creepy character, right? So maybe he's just this really, really odd looking man who's maybe he's a little bit shorter. He's got these weird little legs. And he does have the big spider butt, because he needed that in order to in order to use the webs efficiently. And he's so focused, he's so obsessed with being able to use this magic correctly that he has just focused his whole life around it. He doesn't really care about anything else. He doesn't care about how he dresses. He doesn't care about how other people see him anymore. Because in the past, before he became or was acknowledged as one of the 14 great sages, something happened or something like that. I kind of like this little design that I drew here. Watch the video version if you want to see it. So maybe that's his thing. He's a creepy man, creepy guy with a big juicy spider butt just filled with the webs. We don't know how much webbing he has stored up in there, but whenever people ask him, he kind of explains it in such a way that he's constantly creating new and more webbing, and it's just compacted, and the more time he can spend on creating this webbing without expending it, the more powerful it gets, the more force he can use when he's trying to like casting web, almost like Spider-Man, right? Almost like the Spider-Man, I know. Spider-Man just sounds more fun. Something like that. And that is how this town was created, because he casted this webbing and then people saw it as an opportunity to live in nature or something. Like there is a reason why it happened, right? I can think of that later, but this kind of works, right? I like this. And because I'm still doing not too long podcasts, we're going to be rounding this off. I kind of like we have a very basic idea of a character here. We have this spider guy who's one of the 14 great sages. So I'm probably going to be thinking a lot more of what type of magic he actually does have and stuff like that. And he's, if I'm being honest, this is the first like concrete character that is one of the 14 great sages. I've thought of one more, but he's more of a part, or like two more, I guess. But they're more part of other characters' backstories, and we don't really have any specific like details on them, like anything about them, except that they're somehow involved in those other characters. So this is the first when it comes to the 14 great sages. So I'm thinking like, okay, what do we want to name this guy? Want to give him like some spider theme name, right? So we of course, not S. We have Arachnid, right? Just because spider, arachnid. If you don't know, I'm pretty sure it's just like the scientific name, arachnid. What can we do with like spider, arachnid, web? Something about his name needs to like remind you of that. So maybe like Araspi. That sounds interesting, right? I think so. Araspi. It sounds like it's a made up name because I made it up. But if we try to give it some type of backstory, maybe like it could come from another country, of course, right? So maybe he's not. So most of the characters in the story so far, they are kind of named in more like conventionally, I guess you could call it Western style, like a Western naming convention. Like we have like a William, we have a Rudolph, we have a stuff like that. Or no, I guess not. That's just that. Those are the only ones. So, but if we think about this, if we think about Araspi, the more I say it, the more I like it, actually. I think I'm going to stick with it for now. So his first name, Araspi, so Ara like arachnid, and then SPI like spider or spindle, if you speak Swedish. A lot of the names of locations and characters in this story actually have like Swedish inspirations for their names, because I've noticed in a lot of like in a lot of stories and stuff, they just take parts of like a different language, like Japanese or Italian or French or whatever. They take parts of that language and just implement it into the naming of other like things in English, and it makes it sound more interesting or like cooler, but it still kind of sounds normal to an extent. And I've always thought that it's a really nice way of just creating new names and stuff like that. So I'm doing that with Swedish because I am Swedish. But we have Araspi. What could his last name be? Araspi Aten. That's too easy. We have Aten. It's very simple. Araspi Weber. That's a little bit too on the nose, I think. But maybe he renamed himself or something. Or maybe he's named Araspi. What else can we think of? What else can we do? What else can he be called? It's difficult. I really don't know. I try to think of just very simple names, actually, so they're easy to remember as well. But like Aten kind of works. Weber, it's too on the nose, I feel. And it's difficult to add inspiration from Swedish into this, because like spider, spindle, it's very similar. Net, it's I can't really add a lot from the Swedish because it's too similar to the English when it comes to this. Araspi Ben. Or like Atben? No. Or Attaben? Attaben kind of works. Araspi Attaben. I think I like that. It's either Attaben or Aten. So Attaben. It's very simple. It's stupid as well, which I like. It's just taken from Swedish åtta ben, meaning 8 legs. So you would just spell it with this kind of a, like with a dot over. And in Swedish, we call it å. So åtta ben, making it 8 legs. Very simple, but I like it actually. Attaben. Similar to Araspi. I feel like the more I say it, the more I like it. But either way, I feel like that's a good stopping point, actually. I'm going to keep working on this idea, and I kind of like doing this, if I'm being honest. I enjoy just speaking out loud when it comes to just getting my thoughts out there, trying to think of something new. And I feel like this is much better than what I did last time when I was just basically sitting down and like, I'm not making progress. And I kind of like, after I posted that episode, I just kind of came to thinking like, why don't I just take this time to actually just force some progress to an extent, right? Even if this character, I might not use this character, I might not be able to implement this character for like who knows how long. But this idea exists, and it's just it's some nice practice for what I could do during this time, or at least for the podcast. I feel like it's a fun thing to do. So I will probably do more of this in the future. We'll see how many times I do it. There's a huge possibility that I actually just do this in every episode from now on. If I'm being honest, because this was a lot of fun for me, and it just gets the creative juices flowing, and it feels like I'm actually accomplishing much more with this than just talking about it. And I feel like I can't talk as much about it anymore because I don't want to spoil too much about what the story will have in total and stuff like that. And I just really need to start whatever. Either way, I realized that I was just about to start rambling a lot again, and I caught myself because this episode is already like half an hour long. So I want to thank you so much if you've listened up until this point. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is RobinDoff, ROBINDOFF. And on Instagram, I am MrGoblinear, and on ArtStation, I am Doffman. If you want to see me on YouTube, I am MrGoblinear. You can find me by searching the Rambling Robin podcast. But this is going to be it for today. I'm going to thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great Halloween, or if you're watching this at a later time, I hope you had a great Halloween. Me, I didn't do anything special. I went to work today, but that's fine. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Alright, hello and welcome to the Rambling Robin podcast. I am Robin, and today I'll be rambling a little bit about the things that I'd like to talk about. So for today's episode, for today's podcast, I was thinking, I wanted to do a continuation of the last podcast I did. So if you haven't listened to or watched the last episode I did, you might want to get to that before you get into this one, because this... we'll be continuing from what we did last time. So last time, if we just do this, bam. So if you're in the video version right now, you can see I'm back to the little brainstorming thing we did last time. So we created this character, Araspi Attaben. Araspi Attaben. Oh, wrong layer there. Let's go here. So Araspi Attaben. So that's the name we settled on for this spider-based character. So I created him because it was Halloween when I made the video, when I made the podcast. Really not sure when the video is going to be up, but the podcast is definitely up. But either way, so it's this spider-like magician character, and I guess... after thinking a little bit about this character after the last episode, so basically since last episode, I haven't really worked on the character, so to say, but I've had him in the back of my mind. I've been thinking about like, okay, what could he be doing? What do I want to make different and stuff like that, just compared to what we came to last time. So this thing about controlling spiders, I don't know if I'll be doing that, because it just feels a little bit too standard. And then if he's controlling spiders, then it would have to be, then spiders in this world would definitely have to be in a lot of varying sizes, because just controlling a bunch of small spiders, though pretty cool, I would want to have, like, I want Araspi to be able to like ride spiders if that was the case. But then I decided to try to lean into this part with the webs a little bit more, like maybe it's the web magician, right? Araspi Attaben is the spider guy, but it's because he's so fascinated with the webs, and he decided to focus all his research and energy into making the perfect type of magical webbing, right? So it would be easier to, for example, like maybe build a town in an area that would be unlivable otherwise. For example, in the trees, or maybe in the trees would be more, it would be livable, but like maybe like just between two canyons or something, like just in places where you wouldn't really build a town, right? But where you might find spider webs, just something like that, right? Is what I've been thinking. So I kind of wanted to lean into that. But then I also, if you're watching the video version, got a little treat here. So we did a little brainstorm thing. But since then, I've also, I've also worked a little bit on Araspi. So this, if you're watching the video version, I've got a much more detailed sketch of what I'm thinking Araspi to be. So I want him to look very like, I guess you would call like dirty, right? I would want to call this dirty at least. So we got him. He's got these. He's first of all, his body type is very like, you can tell that this guy doesn't really do a lot of moving around unless it's required. That's kind of the body type I wanted to go for. Like I wanted to be like this dreary, dark kind of character, like design, because it's spiders, and like I wanted to get this little creepy feeling across. And then we also have like the big spider butt that I wanted him to have, and I decided like, okay, let's just keep going with that, because that's where the webbing comes out of. And then I thought like, okay, how about we just make like what Araspi probably would think, that just having one place where you can shoot the webbing out of is to a degree somewhat inconvenient, especially when it's from your butt, so it's only behind you, and a human can only move like so much as a spider is, right? So we would need to compensate. So he's got his little magic hat, or whatever you want to call it, his wizard's hat. So like, I don't know. He's got a little magic hat. He's got his staff, and he's got a little thing with his belt going on here. All of these, like, they're these orange, basically just spider butts that he's placed all over himself, so he can shoot webbing from the thing by his belt, like his belt buckle, I guess you could call it. He can shoot webbing from the staff and from the top of his head, and all of these things are they're affixed to something. So the belt buckle, of course, his belt is affixed to him. The thing on his head is actually growing out of his head, similarly to how the actual like big spider butt he has behind him is actually growing out of him. It is because of, I guess you could say, like the research that he did basically just brought him to the point where, like, all right, I'm pretty sure I could start growing spider butts from myself now. And it sounds a lot sillier when you say it out loud than it looks, even though it looks really stupid. But that's kind of what I'm going for. I want to do, because one thing that I love, and I'm going to gush a little bit about One Piece, but one thing I love about One Piece is that Oda, he can just create these characters that look silly and stupid, right? And he gives them a backstory basically that makes us all love them. Yeah, but the one thing that I really, really like about the way he tells the stories is that he will create these stupid looking characters, and then he will make them badass. Like, you watch these characters fight and stuff, and then you think like, oh my god, it's so cool that this character does this. And that's kind of what I want to try to do here with the RSP. Is that he's supposed to look like stupid and kind of like, oh, what the hell is this? Like some kind of like weird hobo. I don't get this character, right? But he's one of the 14 great sages. He's one of the most powerful magicians in recorded history. He's a magician. He helped stop the great disaster. I won't tell you what that is, but like he's one of the 14 people that came together and stopped the great disaster. He's proven himself to be incredibly powerful time and time again. He's not recognized as one of the 14 great sages for nothing. So I want him to be a badass. And I it's just like I love that thought, right? This character that I've created, because he looks really stupid. If you're listening to the podcast, I can't go through like the look of him entirely, because it, like, I'm not very good at explaining that kind of stuff, so you'll have to watch the video when it's available. But yeah, he looks so weird. He looks so weird. But then imagine this guy just jumping around. He's like spewing out webs from his butt head, I guess, from his head butt, from his staff butt, from his big butt, from his belt buckle butt. He's spewing webs all over, and then he can, of course, he can control these webs in different ways, right? Because he's still a magician. He wouldn't just think of like, okay, I can spit web like a spider. Cool. Now it's like, now I can just build my own little spider web. No, of course not. He uses the webbing. He creates things with it, right? He controls it. It's still sticky, but it's only sticky when he needs it, and in the places where he needs it to be, he's able to make constructions and stuff with it, right? So that's the idea of him. And like, of course, because he was there to stop the great disaster, he's also a very skilled fighter. Because if you haven't guessed it already, based on my other episodes and the kind of story that I've been talking about creating, I want to create cool battles. So Araspi Attaben, because he's one of the 14 great sages, of course he has to be an awesome fighter. Doesn't mean that he's one of the more powerful ones, especially among the 14 great sages, but it means he's still a badass. And just using magic skillfully in this world is a feat on its own, because it is dangerous, right? We can't forget about that part. That is one of the most important parts when it comes to this story that I want to create here, is that using magic in this world is potentially lethal if you don't know exactly what you're doing, especially when it comes to magic that is like, basically the only magic that is considered safe to degree would be creating enchantments, enchanting objects and stuff like that. And that is only because it takes it can take such a long time, and you use so little magical energy for it to work, that it does feel safe. It is still dangerous. You can still kill yourself from magical exhaustion in this world if you're just trying to do something simple. Let's say if you're trying to cast magic, which enchanting something and casting magic are two different things. But if you're trying to cast magic, let's say you're trying to create a flame, a small little flame from the top of your finger. Imagine a lighter. You want your finger to be a lighter. For a normal person to do that successfully, they'll be out for the rest of the day if they light that flame for more than like 2 or 3 seconds. Because first of all, they don't know how to do it effectively. They don't know how large they will make the flame unless they know how to do it. Unless they've researched how the magic works. How is the magic supposed to flow? How is I haven't fully created this magical system yet, but that is like the basics of what I'm thinking for it. It is so difficult to properly utilize magic unless you're skilled enough, unless you've done your research, unless you know exactly what you're doing. You can basically just... You could die by just trying to move a small object with your with magic power. Let's say I have this pen right here, right? I wanted to let it go, or let go of it with my hand. I wanted to keep it in there. Let's make it like, ooh, look at the video. Ooh, it's like it's floating. I wanted to keep it in there, and then I wanted to move it across, and then I wanted to move it to my other hand, right? If a normal person would do that in this world, and they don't know exactly what they're doing, they don't know how much magical energy they will be expending and stuff, like just all those things, they would die. Like lighting the flame, easier. It's just it's basically just converting magical energy to a different type of energy. But here it is converting that energy. You're moving it to the air, and in the air you're basically creating something that is holding on to the. I just want it to be really dangerous. I want the magic in my world that I'm creating to be such a dangerous thing to properly use that people in general just do not do it because of the risks. But that is also why magicians and stuff like that in this world are so special. That is why they're so amazing. That is why a person like Araspi Attaben, there we go, Araspi Attaben, that is why he is such a powerful figure, even though the magic that he's using maybe doesn't seem like it is so amazing. It is incredibly difficult to do. It is incredibly difficult to even try to mimic, because first of all you need to know how to create this webbing efficiently, and we can argue that Araspi have not figured out how to do it efficiently, because he's basically using these spider butts to store the webbing. That is why he decided to go with this spider. I maybe not theme, but like he's decided to use the spider butt because that is the most efficient way to store it. Based on his research, he figured out that, well, spiders store something in that spider butt of theirs. What if I stored all my webbing in a spider butt? Then I can continuously like expend my magical energy into that spider butt. Like I can always be creating more magical webbing, making it easier for me to utilize it. I don't have to create it on the fly when I really need to. If I need to create a lot of it, then I have this then I have some stored up, right? That is the basics of the magic that he uses. Something to that degree, right? It is not finalized. It's just like what I've been thinking about when I'm when I'm on the bus heading to work, stuff like that. That is what I'm thinking for Araspi Attaben. And the thing about Araspi Attaben, this character is not necessarily a character that's going to be vital for the story moving forward, or just starting off, I guess. I'm not sure that I'll be utilizing this character in that way. This might just be a character that exists later on in the story, or like essentially like a flashback character, so to say. Like this is one of the 14 great sages. We'll get to know him a little bit, but he's not going to be the focus of the story at any point whatsoever, possibly. Because I don't want to focus too much on these characters, on these 14 great sages. They're supposed to be like these amazing beings or whatever that it used to exist or that still exists or whatever. These great humans, these great magicians, like just something. Basically, I guess you could call it like a benchmark, like people that we want to compare our main cast to, our characters to. Like, oh, maybe this person, oh, he's as powerful as one of the 14 great sages. Oh my god, they were super powerful. He's as powerful as one of them. That is so impressive. Yeah, and I even heard that his master, or his that his master is the brother of our Araspi Attaben. So we know that he his master is powerful as well. Something, just stuff like that. That is kind of what I want to. That is how I want to build the lore about these 14 great sages, and that is why Araspi Attaben might not be a character that I will utilize in the story for the first, I don't know how long, just like maybe not even at all. Maybe he'll probably come up in conversation. I'll probably mention him, especially now that I've put some time into creating him. Of course, I want to just implement him in some way. But that doesn't mean that he'll be an important character or even have any weight to him for the story as it is right now, at least. But yeah, that is kind of where I stand right now when it comes to this character. And I'm thinking next week, hopefully, unless I forget about it, because I do have plans for next week, and I might not even release a podcast episode. We'll see about that. I might be able to record something during the week, but there's no guarantees. But the next time, I guess, the next episode, I'm thinking of showing the process of creating yet another character, or possibly focusing more on a location. Or you know what? I think I just had an idea. I don't want to say, or should I say? You know what? I'll say it right now. I think next week, and this might have this or next episode. This will probably turn into one of the longer episodes that I've ever done. If I will do this properly. Next week, I kind of want to focus on the main character. I want to show you part of the process of me creating the main character, because, spoilers, I have not properly created the main character. I have a name and I have a general idea, but I have nothing more than that. So I think that's what I want to focus on next week. I think that'll be really interesting, and we'll probably start off similar to what we did with Araspi. We'll start off with just like brainstorming. I'll start on like main character. Okay, is it a man or woman? Is it an animal? Is it like whatever it might be? Like, I honestly not that sure right now. So we'll start with something like that, and then we'll see how long it takes to just get some kind of solid footing where I can start creating the character, or start sketching up ideas for just general character design. But that's what I want to do. So we'll be finishing off this episode right now. This has been the Araspi Attaben update, I guess we should call this episode. We created the character last time. Now you got to see a little bit more detail of the characters and of the character, and you got to hear a little bit more about the ideas that I have about him and what I want to do with him, so to say. And I guess you got a little bit more of a look into the lore of the actual story. It's not a lot of people that have gotten to hear about that, actually, not as of yet. But yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you're having a great day or weekend or night or whatever. I'll see you next time. All right? Bye now.